Dish Network is aiming to become the fourth major carrier in the United States with Project Genesis. Just what is it? Hi, I'm Chris with the Mobile Internet Resource Center, here to give you an update on the cellular industry in the United States and the emergence potentially of a new fourth major carrier. Now, this kind of is a big industry story in the sense that, well, when T-Mobile was buying Sprint, one of the main objections that the Department of Justice had to that merger was that it would be taking the U.S. industry from 4 nationwide cellular carriers to 3. Combining T-Mobile and Sprint goes to just Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile having nationwide footprints. All the other cellular carriers that are out there are either just buying capacity from those big 3 or they're regional carriers. So the Department of Justice wanted to ensure that there was room for a fourth carrier to emerge and brokered kind of this big convoluted deal between T-Mobile, Sprint, and Dish Network, which had been buying up spectrum, eyeing potentially becoming a future fourth carrier. And, well, the Department of Justice basically said, we mandate this. This is going to happen. T-Mobile, you're required to sell Dish a bunch of spectrum. Sprint, you're required to sell Dish all of your prepaid customers, 8.8 million of them, including primarily the subsidiary Boost Mobile. And Dish, well, you've now got all this spectrum. You're required to actually do something with it. You've got to build a network, not just squat on it and sell it. So all this stuff kind of, the wheels started moving in 2019, and we've been waiting to see, what is Dish going to do? Are they going to launch an interesting network? When is it coming? And, well, now here we are, middle of summer 2021, and we are finally getting a few little hints out of Dish, but not a whole lot. What they've done, just this past week, is they started sending out teaser emails to key people saying, sign up for information about Project Genesis, our 5G emerging network. It will be the first true 5G network in the world, or in the United States. So what is Project Genesis? When is it coming? Where can you get it? Is it going to be interesting? No other details like that. The Project Genesis website that Dish has launched is incredibly sparse right now. All they're doing is basically collecting zip codes, email addresses, and phone numbers, and they're promising to message you in the future when Genesis is ready to launch. So what do we know about Genesis? Digging deeper into it, is it going to be interesting? It might be. Dish has a lot of spectrum, not nearly as much as T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, but they do have a lot of spectrum. And what they're doing is starting from scratch with 5G, with no legacy baggage. So they're planning to build a 5G first network that doesn't have to worry about being 4G compatible. And that does introduce some potential technical advantages to, they can claim it's the first true 5G network. It's not really the case, but they can focus on not having to support legacy 4G devices. It gives them a few advantages there. So that is Genesis. It's going to be a 5G network. It's coming out. When? Dish isn't saying just yet, but they have told investors, and they've also started to file the licenses to launch in Las Vegas as their first city by the end of 2021. They are working on building towers, leasing tower capacity, buying up 5G gear. And in another investor call, they've mentioned that Colorado, which is where Dish is headquartered, would be one of their first 10 states. So that's about all they've said on locations, timing, starting towards the end of 2021, probably Las Vegas is the debut. But they do actually have a deadline because of the federal requirements. Genesis, Dish's 5G network, is subject to be available to 20% of the U.S. population, so rolled out over that much coverage area by June 2022, and then by June 2023, they have to be out to 70% of the U.S. population. So they have a deadline. They've got to start rolling this out, otherwise they'll start to face some penalties. We do know the cellular spectrum that Dish will be using, that they own the rights to, and the bands, the 5G bands that they are using, are band 26, 29, 48, 66, 70, and 71. Now, those are actually, for the most part, other than band 66, which Verizon also uses, and band 71, which T-Mobile uses, those other four bands are actually oddball 5G bands. In the United States, no other carriers have announced plans to support them, and there are no 5G devices announced supporting those bands either. So that means, Dish is kind of launching. They're going to have to encourage device manufacturers to bring out Project Genesis hardware, and that hardware might be Genesis specific. It might not be the same stuff that is available or more broadly available to other carriers. So it's going to be really interesting to see what hardware comes out that supports Genesis. The hardware you can buy today will probably only have limited support for Genesis. So there's a lot of still open questions to be answered. Definitely nothing to get too excited about just yet. It is interesting to see a new fourth carrier coming about, but they are just getting started. They have a lot of development to do. They've got a lot of questions to answer. They've got a lot of things still to be revealed. So we'll be watching this over the course of the next year. We're really curious to see what Dish does. The one interesting thing is, since they are starting so far behind, so far deep into fourth place, that we're hoping that they might have to enter the market aggressively with better pricing and better data plans, better promotions, something to stand out, because they'll be starting from so far behind. So they might become the new uncarrier, perhaps, taking the role that T-Mobile played a decade ago of disrupting the industry. Maybe that will be Dish's role going forward, or maybe they will just be a lot of sound and fury and marketing that doesn't amount to much. We will be tracking it. Stay tuned and watch for Project Genesis to show up later this year.
These videos are brought to you by our premium members, our mobile internet aficionados. They make it possible for us to track this news and create these videos. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, or better yet, consider becoming a member yourself.